Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Flat Earth School, the school that is around us 24/7 since the beginning of existence. I'm Mitchell from Australia, and this is going to be a stream about how a sextant proves flat Earth. I told you earlier in the week, or last week actually, we're dropping anchor here. This is the number one flat Earth proof. It is very painful for globe believers to even look at, let alone address. But nevertheless, it is our number one flat Earth proof. So if you think you're living on a globe, you need to address this. And some have. And I'm going to go through that today. It's going to be fantastic. Before we do start, I need to shout out my patrons because you guys are awesome. You guys have got me through some of the toughest times financially in the past 3 months. And I want to shout you guys out. Thank you for being my patrons. Nancy, where's Wally? Yes, Globo, where's Wally? He has donated to my GoFundMe. No, sorry, not GoFundMe. I don't have a GoFundMe. This is Patreon. But albeit because he admitted that I completed one of his challenges. So we'll see. Yes, he did pay up the money, but we'll see if he continues his Patreon pledge. Lumberjack, one of my awesome patrons, he purchased one of my wife's books and it has arrived. I hope, Lumberjack, that it does serve you guys well. It is a wealth of information. I've learned so much from it. It is stuff that normal people aren't exposed to. ABC Pregnancy is the name of the book. If you want to purchase it, like Lumberjack has, one of my awesome patrons, the link is in the description. Nyala's book, ABC Pregnancy. Makai Bahopu. He hit Barrio, Ryan Williams, David Weiss, Victor Garcia, Dale Bourne, John Furr, who is always in my chat, always donating through super stickers. Thank you, John Furr. You are awesome. Dusty Ryder, Gobickley T, Will Brax, BMLSB69, Bo, John Swartz, Brian Leakey, Alec One Show, Michael Kahn, who is another one of my awesome patrons who's always in the chat, one of my moderators, Malcolm Foster, Angie S, Dawn Judds, and Paul on the Plane. You guys are all awesome. Thank you for being my patrons. Thank you for supporting me. And everyone who does super chat, everyone who's sent me PayPal donations. Lincoln, another awesome flat earther who's just a great Aussie guy. Works hard for his money and he has donated so much for me in my time of need as well. I really appreciate it. So let's get into the topic at hand. How a sextant proves flat Earth. Yeah, Robert Page, greetings. Why do globers insist a sextant proves the globe? Yeah, I'm shaking my head too. Mojo Shop, yeah, love her all around. How are you, mate? John Furr, great to see you in here. See, like I told you, my patrons, they're awesome. So how does a sextant prove flat Earth? Well, first we have to see from the other standpoint, from the glober's standpoint, where they are coming from. Now, I'm going to share a video by one of the only people who are addressing this, Bob, the pseudoscience guy. Let's see what he has to say about the sextant and about whether it works on flat Earth or about whether it works on a globe. Yeah, Schumann TV, let's get into some flat smacking. All right, so this is Bob, the pseudoscience guy.
Let me explain to you briefly how a sextant works. It depends on two things. One is the curved surface of the Earth.
Unfortunately, you do not have that. You're going to need R for that. We never see curvature from anywhere. So the sextant definitely does not rely on a curved surface.
And the other is parallel rays of light from the
Well, that's very unfortunate because we also don't have parallel rays of light. So this is the premise that the globe believer is coming from. First, they think that you need a curved surface for the sextant to work. Second, you need parallel rays of light from the sun for the sextant to work. Both we do not have in our reality. You are begging the question. This is where the globers are coming from.
The sun or another celestial object. To explain why it works like this, let's go to the whiteboard and explain four possibilities. The first possibility is going to be a flat Earth with a local sun.
Something that we do not claim, or I do not claim. A flat Earth, yes. Local sun. What is the sun? Where is it? How far away is it? Is it physical? Is it an actual physical thing? We do not know. It is just a point of light in the sky, an apparent position, apparent angle, and apparent size. That's all we know about the sun. So if you're going to build up a straw man, Bob, and burn it, it's not going to get you anywhere.
The second possibility is a flat Earth with a distant sun and light coming in parallel.
So obviously he's building up the straw man of where the sun is and how it acts. The straw man is we do not claim any of these positions to be true. A close local sun or a distant infinite sun with parallel lines. No, it is just something in the sky that we can definitely use for celestial navigation.
Down here we have a curved Earth or a globe Earth with a local sun and a globe Earth with a distant sun and light coming in parallel.
And there's also a straw man for the globe Earth, a curved surface. Yeah, they definitely claim curved surface with a close local sun. I don't think I've ever heard anyone claiming a close local sun for a curved Earth, a globe Earth. That's something new. But up the top there, top right, there's the spotlight sun for the globe. That is their narrative. That's what he's going to be focusing on right there. That top right-hand corner. That is the globe narrative. A curved surface with a spotlight sun that has parallel rays. Now that's their position.
Now, let's go see what we actually see on the Earth. First of all, let's look at this possibility, a flat Earth with a distant sun. Every single shadow would be equal. Now, the reason I have double lines on this is that indicates that the sun is coming straight down onto the stick. So
Something that we never ever see. We do not see parallel rays from the sun ever.
if the sun was very distant and the light was parallel, if there was no shadow on this stick, there wouldn't be a shadow on either of these sticks. That's not something that we see on Earth, so that's not a possibility.
Thank you for confirming that, Bob. At least he's going to be reasonable. We do not see parallel sun rays coming in.
Now let's look at the next possibility. How about a flat Earth with a local sun? Well, if this stick had no shadow, there would be a shadow on this stick and a shadow on that stick. And quite frankly, you could triangulate using the base distance to the stick with no shadow, because that's a 90-degree angle there, and you would come up with a fixed height of the sun.
Ah, there's that height again. Something else we do not claim. Bob, we definitely claim that you can use triangulation with the sextant. That's how the sextant works for celestial navigation, for triangulating your position on Earth. That is how it works. That is definitely the claim of flat Earth. But we do not have a claim that we have a height to the sun. We do not need that H value that you globers like to focus on. So if you're going to focus on a height to something that is only apparent in the sky, it all falls over. It's just another straw man that you're building up to burn the shit out of, Bob.
Now, Blue Marble Science, B-Ball for Life, and I all did the Eratosthenes experiment from different parts of the world.
Experiment. There it is again. He wants to invoke science here. It's not an experiment. What is the observed natural phenomena that you're observing, Bob? And what is the independent variable that is causing that effect, the observed natural phenomenon? It doesn't even get to a viable hypothesis for you to even test to get to the experiment. You know nothing about science. That is why you're Bob the pseudoscience guy, because you push pseudoscience. The definition of pseudoscience is claiming something to be science when you are not putting it through the scientific method.
Now, while we were all able to successfully calculate our latitude, we all came back to different heights of the sun.
That's because we don't have a fixed height to the sun. It is an apparent position. This is what the globers love to try and claim, that we have a fixed height to our sun.
So this is not a possibility. Now, in case anybody missed it, we've just ruled out the possibility of a flat Earth with either a distant or a local sun.
No, there's a false dichotomy on the side of the flat Earth. You've just built up two strawmans with parallel sun rays at a very distant, infinite sun. No, we don't claim that ever. And then you've juxtaposed it with a close local sun. We don't claim that either, but we definitely claim a flat Earth, Bob, because that's how the sextant works, as we're going to appreciate, and we're going to go through that a bit later on this stream. But let's see how a sextant can work on a globe, according to Bob, the pseudoscience guy.
It's no longer a possibility. We're only dealing with a curved Earth. So the idea that a sextant proves the flat Earth is just ridiculous.
Yeah, the only thing that's ridiculous here, Bob, is you and your claims that you're about to go into. This is going to be great.
So let's look at our two possibilities here. First of all, we have a local sun and a curved Earth. Once again, the sun is directly over this stick, so that would be the GP of the sun. There would be a predicted angle right there and a predicted angle right there that would give an altitude of the sun above that GP. We don't see that. Whenever we measure the angle to the sun from different locations on the Earth, we always come up with different altitudes of the sun if we try and triangulate it. This doesn't work.
Again, he's building up a straw man. On the globe side, yeah, he's going to put a big cross there, but he builds up these straw mans. He builds up these possibilities, he says. No, why are you trying to juxtapose these three options against what you're actually claiming, Bob? Is that to make it seem like it is more valid, more reliable? No, you've built up three straw men that nobody is claiming. These three you're about to put the cross through, and then you're going to juxtapose them with what you actually think is happening on your globe. This is what you're going to be claiming, that top right-hand corner.
So this isn't a possibility. All right, so we're only left with one possibility, and
And there it is. There is the logical fallacy. We don't have any other possibility, so it must be this possibility here. Fantastic, Bob. Played right into the logical fallacy, built it right up, and then playing into it. And see where we're going to go with this. We've got the curved surface, that's the green curved line of his presupposed spherical Earth. Yeah, you're going to need a radius value for that, Bob. You definitely don't have it, so you're begging the question to begin with. But are you actually measuring an angle on a curved surface? See where the GP is? And see that right angle there that you've just built up, that 90 degree? You know you have to have a 90 degree from the GP to the surface of your Earth. And where does that horizon, that horizontal line, put your baseline? Yeah, not on the globe Earth. You have to treat everything as if it were flat. This is why it's the #1 flat Earth proof, because even though you think you're living on a globe, you have to treat everything as flat. Let's see how he plays this out.
that's a curved Earth with a distant sun. Rather than just do that as a diagnosis of exclusion, so to say, let's go ahead and have a look at it. Now, in this situation, the sun is directly over this stick right here. That would be the GP. We would have predicted shadows at each of those two sticks. What's the prediction? Well, for every 60 miles away from the GP, that shadow would increase by 1 degree. And that's exactly what we see in real life. That's how
Is that exactly what we saw in real life? Was it, Bob? That for every 69 miles we move away from a star, that we're going to measure a 1 degree elevation drop? No, we definitely don't. Below 15 degrees, Bob. Do you see that 1 degree elevation drop for every 69 miles you move back? No. Below 15 degrees from the horizon up to the elevation angle of a star, you cannot use these angles. So that does not hold true, Bob. Something that Sean Hawkins found himself trapped by last week.
we do navigation with a sextant. So once again, if you want to navigate with a sextant, you're going to need a globe for that.
Did he actually explain how we actually do navigation with a sextant, or did he just presuppose we have a globe with a radius, with a spotlight sun that has parallel rays coming in, and then the dirty little secret of that flat baseline, that horizontal line, that is the only way you're going to achieve a 90-degree angle for the GP from the star, the celestial body, to the surface of the Earth. And it's definitely not a globe. This is what the globe believers are doing. They have to treat everything as flat. Here in reality, we actually have a flat surface. And that's why the sextant works. Because we don't have to presuppose it's flat. That is just how the sextant works. You need to have that flat baseline from the sextant to the horizon. That is the flat, horizontal, straight line that you need to measure angles from. So let's get into what else we got in this video. This is going to be good. I'm just trying to get to the point without seeing a disgusting person. Disgusting cartoon. Oh no, we saw it anyway. Sorry guys, putting you through this. Don't know who this person is.
Hi, I'm Mr. Sensible, and I approve this message. Celestial navigation with a sextant? You're going to need a globe for that.
Yeah, you're going to need half of that, Mr. Sensible. And at best, all we've done is disprove the radius of the globe. Yeah, how embarrassing. But this takes the cake, what he's about to say. This is the premise where this guy, Mr. Sensible, he doesn't do his research. It is very evident from how I trapped him with the Black Swan argument. Yeah, he didn't do his research. He didn't know that saying that it's okay, we don't need a radius to the Earth. At best, all you've done is disprove the radius of the Earth. He didn't realize when he said that how devastating it was to his globe Earth. And now he's going to realize how devastating the sextant is to his globe Earth and how it absolutely proves flat Earth.
P.S. Mitch, when you are using a sextant for celestial navigation, you're not triangulating your position.
Bow. That is a massive, massive error on your part, Mr. Sensible. Wait, let's just hear it again. I don't want to put words in his mouth. Let's absolutely hear what the claim is.
The globe for that. P.S. Mitch, when you are using a sextant for celestial navigation, you're not triangulating your position.
Mr. Sensible. Well, how many references would you like to actually using triangulation with a sextant? I've got 5 right here for you. Let's see, first one from Noah. For centuries. I'm just going to scroll down a bit. This is definitely from Noah, NOAA. For centuries, mariners have also used a form of transit called a sextant and a triangulation method using the stars, sun, and moon as benchmarks. Even though the celestial bodies move across the sky. So there it is, triangulation using the sextant and the celestial bodies. How embarrassing, Mr. Sensible. What else we got here? I don't think I'm screen sharing that one. From encyclopedia.com, the sextant. In its simplest form, a sextant consists of an eyepiece and an angular scale called the arc, fitted with an arm to mark degrees. By manipulating the parts, a user can measure the angular distance between 2 celestial bodies, usually the Earth and either the Sun or the Moon. The observer can thereby calculate his or her position of latitude by using a trigonometric operation known as triangulation. Mr. Sensible. We're using the sextant. We're using celestial bodies for celestial navigation. And we're using a trigonometric operation known as triangulation. Are we getting it yet, Mr. Sensible? I don't think so. We're going to have to keep hammering this in, because we absolutely use triangulation with the sextant. What else we got here? From science.jrank.org. The sextant. Optical instruments called sextants have been used as navigational aids for centuries, especially by seafarers. In its simplest form, a sextant consists of an eyepiece and an angular scale called the arc, fitted with an arm to mark degrees. By manipulating the parts, a user can measure the angular distance between two celestial bodies, usually the Earth and either the Sun or the Moon. The observer can thereby calculate his or her position of latitude by using a trigonometric operation known as triangulation. There it is again, Mr. Sensible. Are we getting it yet? I don't think so. I think we have to keep going. How many references do these guys need before they realize that they are way out of their depth here? This is from improvedsailing.com, guides/marine navigation guide. So this is how you actually use the sextant. Some related questions here. How did sailors navigate by the stars? If a navigator knows where the star is located above the Earth, he can determine his distance from that particular subpoint. He needs a tool to measure the angle between the star and the horizon, like a sextant or an astrolabe. Now he has a line of position. When repeated, he can triangulate his position. The celestial fix. You are definitely using triangulation, Mr. Sensible, when using the sextant. Are we feeling silly yet? Let's give him one more, just for good measure. We are definitely using triangulation for the sextant. True bearing. Let's consider three main things to take into account here: the stars, the skyline, and you. Using a sextant or another angle measuring device, you can use these three different points to triangulate your position. The sextant, for example, uses the horizon and a celestial body in the sky in order to determine where you are. There's a very easy guide on how to use this here. If you want to go to that, Mr. Sensible, and actually learn how we use a sextant, there it is. Right here. True bearings. This is how we use a sextant. I like this reference here. We're using the stars, the sky, the skyline, and you. Using a sextant or another angle measuring device, that's what a sextant is, an angle measuring device. You can use these three different points to triangulate your position. So we're using the horizon and a celestial body in the sky in order to determine where you are. It's as simple as that. Globe believers, you're in a world of pain at the moment. Mr. Sensible, do you want to repeat your claim? I'm so glad that Mr. Sensible weighed onto this argument. Oh, I wasn't screen sharing there. Damn it. I'll go back into the screen share. What a rookie mistake here. I'm so happy that Mr. Sensible has weighed in onto this argument. And this is why. You get golden nuggets like this.
P.S. Mitch, when you are using a sextant for celestial navigation, you're not triangulating your position.
Isn't it glorious? I've got 5 references there, Mr. Sensible. You're going to come back and say we're still not using triangulation when we're using a sextant for celestial navigation? How embarrassing. Now, enough about what they think is happening on their globe. They have no proof for their globe. I want to call out a super chat here. Thanks, Mike Jones. Do they think they see targets in the distance with a straight line of sight or a curved one? Why can't so many of them answer this simple question? Yeah, Bob the Science Guy. He answered it. But so many of them, others are not willing to answer it because it is painful. Bob the Science Guy knows if he thinks he's living on a globe, knowing what the black swan has done to his globe, now claiming refraction is why we see the black swan. Well, Bob, do we have a straight line from the observer, from the sextant to the horizon? No. And that's what he knows he cannot claim anymore. That's what he knows has to be happening. A straight line from the observer to the horizon. He doesn't have that anymore. Do we have straight lines? No, says Bob. It's freaking hilarious. Thank you, Mike Jones, for highlighting that. So let's get into how a sextant proves flat Earth, because the sextant definitely doesn't prove a globe. It is not a tool that can be used on a curved surface. It's not a tool that can be used if you think you have a curved baseline from the sextant to the horizon. I'm going into a presentation from Quantum Eraser because he sums up beautifully. And this is on my channel too, titled Earth Has Finally Been Proven Flat. Hopefully it's not going to play one of my ads. I really need to get premium. But nevertheless, this is an awesome presentation by Quantum Eraser.
All right, let's rock and roll.
Straight into
Nothing
an ad.
was nothing.
Fantastic. Thanks, YouTube.
Roll. It's this argument. It's elevation angles, people. From the math expert, Mr. Rocket, right? Angle of elevation. He's showing you what you need, the necessary contingent facts to measure an elevation angle, right? You see this line down here. And with triangles, this is called the adjacent. Now, this is the horizontal line. To measure an elevation angle, you must have a flat horizontal adjacent or a flat B right here. You can't get around that.
Can't get around that. That's why they have to put on their globe that little horizontal line, that straight line, because they know they can't look at their horizon. They know it doesn't work on a globe. It only works with a flat baseline from the observer to the horizon. That is the only way you're going to get an angle of elevation. It is an angle measuring device. You need straight lines.
That's why I say it's so deadly. Let's check this out. Because the only way you're going to get around this, baltards, you can't do it. You have to change all the definitions of elevation angles. So, math is fun. Angle of elevation. The upwards angle from the horizontal to a line of sight from the observer to some point of interest. From Merriam-Webster, angle of elevation. The angle formed by the line of sight and the horizontal plane. See this guy right here? Kablooey. You need a horizontal plane. You need a flat. What they're saying is you need a flat adjacent, or you're not getting an elevation angle. It's as simple as that. For an object above the horizontal, look, they use horizontal twice in the same short sentence. From radartutorial.edu, measurement of elevation angle. Elevation angle is the angle between the horizontal plane and a line of sight measured in the vertical plane. So you need a horizontal plane, both of them. You can't get around this. You could try to change the definition of horizontal, but you can't do it. I mean, it'll be a feeble attempt, and we'll laugh at you. And you might convince some can't fog a mirrors. But as soon as I put up a triangle, you're finished. It's all.
And that's why Mr. Sensible has to claim that we do not use triangulation. Something that I have easily disproved with a quick Google search. You come up with triangulation using the sextant wherever you look. Why do the globers think that they can get away with lying, blatantly lying? They have to obfuscate, they have to run away from the truth. This isn't like the premise to this. It's not a flat earth premise. It's just using a sextant, an angle measuring device. We're not presupposing anything when holding a sextant in our hand. We're just looking through the sextant to the horizon, that flat baseline, forming a triangle, triangulation. And then we extrapolate from that where we are living. It has to be a flat earth that we are measuring on using the sextant. That's how the sextant works. On the other hand, the globe, they know how the sextant works and they're trying to figure out ways around it. Mr. Sensible says, we don't use triangulation. We don't use triangles. We don't use 3 straight lines. And that's what they have to do. They have to lie. Because they know it does not work on their globe Earth with a curved surface or with a curved baseline from the observer to the horizon. I want to shout out a massive super chat from Lumberjack, one of my awesome patrons, who I mentioned earlier in the stream, has purchased my book. I hope it serves you guys well. He gives me $50 for premium. Thank you, Lumberjack. I will get onto that straight after this stream. I will be signing up to YouTube Premium, so we will not be seeing any more ads on these streams. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Lumberjack. People like you are awesome. Back to Quantum Racer's presentation about elevation angles. The only way that we can get an elevation angle is to have a flat horizon, a horizontal line. The line of sight from the observer to some point of interest is the horizontal angle of elevation, the angle formed by the line of sight, the horizontal plane for an object above the horizontal. That's not bendizontal. That's not a curved line. That is a flat plane we're measuring on. It's over. We don't have to go any further, but I definitely will, because 10th Man has a lot of great presentations. I'll just see if there's anything else in this presentation by Quantum Racer that is, it's all very useful, but I want to be as concise as I can.
All over for you. The whole ball tart spinning space monkey religion implodes right here with the sextant and elevation angles. It's just that simple. We can't get around it. You don't like that simplicity, do you? I love this argument. I just love it. The term angle of elevation, here's the last definition of angle of elevation. The term angle of elevation by varsity tutors denotes the angle from, like all the rest of them said, the horizontal upward to an object. An observer's line of sight would be above the horizontal. Yep, flat, level, flat, adjacent. Simple as that. Well, what does a sextant measure? Would that be elevation angles? Uh-oh. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. Say good night. Say good night.
That's how we use the sextant, using elevation angles. And that's why we say it is the #1 flat earth proof, because we are literally measuring a flat earth. And I want to go into some great presentations by 10th Man. He is leading the way, along with Quantum Racer, on proving that we live on a flat earth with the sextant. So we've got, these are on the Flat Earth Debate. So if you want to see these videos, these are from the Nathan Oakley 1980 channel from the Flat Earth Debates. We'll start with Flat Earth Debate number 1506. Take it away, mate.
So here's Polaris in the sky, right? And you're on the ocean right there. Next slide will show a right angle. Polaris is directly over somewhere on the Earth. That's zenith straight line down, as you can see now. And there's your baseline, and you're here at the bottom of the picture with your sextant, and you're getting the angle to it. Next slide.
Good grammar and spelling.
This is why I need YouTube Premium. Thank you so much, Lumberjack. I'll be definitely getting YouTube Premium after this.
Shows exactly what I just described with the sextant. And instead of the sun in this one, just imagine it's Polaris or any other star at any point. And this is how sextant works. It finds an angle. You can't find an angle without straight lines. You need a vertex. Next slide. Right angle. What is it? These are examples of right angles. You got a protractor and the sextant, even in their own books. This is your books, ballers, is a glorified protractor. You can see what a 90 degree is. You can see two lines that meet at a right angle are perpendicular. No escaping this. Next slide. We have that imagery that I asked you to have in your mind shown here in the picture of a navigator with his aid saying mark, and then he reads the degrees and the minutes of the sextant, but first they take down the time. They need the time as well. Next slide will show what a vertex is. Corner, a much needed corner. This is where the observer is, where the two lines meet. Following slide. In a very real sense, that's all there's to it. In principle, with globe in hand, you can go out on the deck with your sextant, measure the altitude of 3 stars, plot the GPs of those stars on the globe, subtract the altitudes you shot from 90 degrees. Pause and think for a minute if you still believe you're on the ball and a sextant can work on a curved surface. Subtract the altitudes you shot from 90 degrees to determine the size of the circle. That's the circle of equal altitude, by the way, in degrees to draw around each of the respective GPs, geographical position, where the 3 circles intersect is your position. You all see the 90-degree box under each star. Next slide, please. Showing one circle of equal altitude. In this illustration, you are somewhere on the circle of equal altitude around the GP of the object. But where? That circle could be thousands of miles in circumference. The answer is simple. Measure the altitude of 2 more celestial bodies. Where the 3 circles of equal altitude intersect is your location on the globe. Now, is that possible? Since we just found out you need a bottom base line to be straight all the way to the GP. Can this work on the globe? No, but they have to put that in there. Next slide. You can see here from one of the navigation explanation video sites that I go to that they've got how it works with a ship. And this is already showing the dip correction because the red line is already at the water line. And there's the star, there's the 90 degrees of the star, and there's your corner where the ship is for the zenith. The following slide, and they did this, not me, we had to laugh at it before. They showed this on that globe, which is really a picture of what I read on that other slide prior to this. It can't happen on the globe because you see, you can't triangulate without a baseline. This one's going out into space. It's impossible. Let that sink in for a little bit. Let's go to the black and white old videos of how the Navy depicts how a sextant works. So here we got the navigator and his aide in full uniform. Next slide shows a star and its GP and the ship where these two are. And you could see there a 90 degree. The next one will show the sextant altitude angle to it. You see the angle there. Follow up the following star page. You'll see that anywhere around that circle with that same altitude it'll be the same distance. The next one shows the circle. So circle of equal altitude. Anywhere on the circle is the same angle. Next slide will show two stars directly over the Earth with its GP. Of course, there's a ship in the middle somewhere. The following slide will show the sextant being used to triangulate the GPs of those stars to the ship, where the zenith and baseline give you the vertex that's used.
I think we lose Sam man there, but I think he's made his point. It is glorious. This is how we use the sextant for celestial navigation. This is how we use it on a flat Earth. And there's a great comment in the chat here. Hazmat says, what happens when you elevate the sextant? Is it the same result? Well, at any point that you're measuring above the surface of the water, it's an elevation. So you have to account for that elevation of the sextant. It's a dip correction. That's what you have to have. So no matter if you're 1 foot off the water, if you're 10 foot off the water on a boat, if you're up a mountain and you can see the horizon, if you're hundreds of meters above the surface of the water, you're going to have to account for a dip correction. And when you account for the dip correction, upon doing this, this is bringing that angle down to the surface of that flat baseline. This is making that measurement absolutely purely geometric. It's bringing that angle measuring device that you have in your hand from wherever you are, whatever elevation you are, you're bringing that angle down to the flat geometric plane that you're measuring. This angle measuring device, along with celestial navigation, accounting for the dip angle, is putting that angle directly on the flat baseline. It is the #1 flat Earth proof. We are literally measuring a geometric flat plane with the sextant. And yeah, you definitely need to account for the dip angle correction. It's not a dip angle correction on a globe. We're not saying it's dipping, the horizon is dipping away because it's curved in every direction. That's been thoroughly debunked by the Black Swan. Thoroughly debunked this week by the new Black Swan is your radius that is curving away from you. Is it now 1.77 million miles, globe believers? See yesterday's stream. I know it's painful, but catch up, globers. That's what your new radius is when looking at from a 1.5 foot observer height, seeing the horizon in excess of 31.83 miles. You now have a radius, if you still think you're living on a curved surface, of 1.77 million miles, more than 4 times greater than the radius of the sun in your heliocentric model. John Furr gives me $20 yet again. John, man, have you got any money left? I feel bad but I am so grateful. $20, pretty much each and every stream from John Furr. 20 Canadian dollars for the super sticker. You are awesome, mate. Thank you so much, John Furr, and my other patrons. As I said before, Lumberjack gives me $50 to get YouTube Premium. You will never see an ad on this channel again in these streams. So that was from Flat Earth Debate 1506 from 10th Man. And he is getting so concise on these. I'm just going to play one more from 10th Man. This is Flat Earth Debate, what is it, 1521. These presentations by 10th Man are really on point. They really hone home where we're going with this. And it's not just what we've been talking about. It is, I talk about the Black Swan, and I get excited about seeing an observation from a 1.45 foot observer height of a 31.83 distant horizon. Like, that's exciting. That is such a good observation. But in the coming weeks, we are going to see why the sextant is the #1 flat Earth proof and how far we can actually measure physically flat, it's way further than 31 miles. I'll put it that way. And it's way more than a 1.77 million mile radius if you think you're living on a globe still. That's only at 31 miles. Imagine thousands of miles measured absolutely flat from the observer to the horizon. But before we get into that, 10th man, take it away.
Okay, I see it because I got my iPad next to me as well. So, okay. So as you can see here, this is from a navigation site, and they believe the Earth is a ball. So this is their slide. I didn't do anything to the slide. That's not my drawing. So he's got a boat representing somewhere on the Earth on a curved surface, and then he's got an actual representation of how the right angle triangle goes to the GP of the sun. As you can see there, the sun with that zenith position is not aiming at the right place on the surface of the curve there.
This is what the globe believers have to believe. See, that ship is not even on their curve. So this is from a reference from celestial navigation on the globe. We're just using this against them. Where's your ship? It's not on your curved surface. Where is the 90-degree angle from the celestial body to the surface of your presupposed spherical Earth? It's not 90 degrees. You cannot achieve a 90-degree angle on a curved surface. You cannot achieve a 90-degree angle from the GP of the star to the sextant. This is what we're highlighting here. It does not work on a globe. That's why it's flat Earth proof, because we are physically measuring a geometric flat plane.
It's just kind of an angle to it. It's almost like teeter-tottering. So everyone would laugh at this picture because you can't get this right angle on any curved surface, obviously, because the base line of the right angle triangle is straight and the surface it's on is curved. So it is not representative of anything mathematical to be true here. All right. The next slide, I think you see globe Earth right angle, and the one next to it is depiction of the true right angle on the horizontal. Do you see that one? Yeah, perfect. So I think Adam did this one, or someone did this one. You see, it's over right here. Sextant can't do what the curved picture to the left says it can do. It can't do that. It can only do what the one on the right says. And the previous picture shows the comical or the comedic view of how silly it is for the globers to use the sextant to prove the globe. It actually does the opposite.
And that's what we're talking about here. Can you have a curved baseline of a triangle? Have you ever seen a triangle that looks like that? No, you are never going to achieve a 90-degree angle from the GP to the observer with the sextant. You are never going to achieve an angle from the sextant to the celestial body on a curved surface. It only works on a flat plane, a flat baseline. 3 straight lines to make that triangle.
Next slide. It'll show 2 circles of equal altitudes intersecting at 2 parts. And these circles are different radiuses. Let's say one is 3,000 miles from the GP to the navigator on that boat, where line of position is. Say the circle to the right is 2,000 radius miles. Well, that's 3 and 2, and there he is. All have to be flat because that's the fix. So he's triangulated himself because he knows where he is based on the previous day's log of dead reckoning and longitude, latitude on the Mercator map. Next slide. You can see here, it's exactly the way a sextant is computed, a right angle triangle. You see the star or sun's GP, and that's a straight vertical plumb line zenith right over that part of the Earth, okay? And you could see that the apparent position and the difference in altitude has to be figured out, because first you have to assume where you are based on your dead reckoning. And you're basically saying, I'm here, but I know I'm wrong. So let me shoot that sun and go to the books and see those numbers tell me. And if those numbers tell you plus,
Introducing speech alert.
No, I don't want to introduce speech a lot.
you minus, then you adjust for your position, and that way you locate your intercept the way where you are. Now, the next slide is what I really want to get.
I really want to stick on that slide. Hang on.
This
This right here. This is where we're going with this argument. So you can see on the right there, that red star, it's got a GP. That's a 90-degree angle from the GP, from the star down to the surface, and from the ship in the middle there to the GP. That's a 90-degree angle, two straight lines, perpendicular, right there, 90-degree angle. And then over to the right, you've got the sun. It's got its own GP. It's got a 90-degree angle to that same flat baseline from the observer, from the ship to the GP of that star. Can you see that it's creating a box here? You've got two 90-degree angles. And then you can extrapolate out from that. That's why we say we have a flat celestial plane above our heads. We've got two 90-degree angles on the ground here. We need two 90-degree angles in the air, in this celestial plane. It is flat above our heads. That is how it presents to us. We may perceive a dome motion, a curved motion of the stars in the sky, but for celestial navigation to work, for triangulation to work, you need to have that flat celestial plane in the sky. It's all just a perspective. That's how we see the stars moving. And this is where the argument's going in the coming weeks. We've got this area, this line here from the observer in the middle of that boat. It's looking at two different points. From the GP of that red star, let's call it Polaris, to the GP of the sun, going straight through the observer. That is all flat. That is all measured as flat. Imagine if we plug this into a radius calculation. Like I said before, from a 1 foot observer height, seeing the horizon at 31.82 miles, that gives you a radius of your globe. If you still think you're living on a sphere, just from 31 miles away, seeing the horizon from 1.5 foot gives you a radius of 1.77 million miles. That's just from 31 miles away. You want to plug in what we're measuring here, the geometric flat plane from the observer to the GP of the star. In between those two GPs of the stars, thousands of miles, tens of thousands of miles, absolutely flat. Just 31 miles from the observer to the horizon came out at 1.77 million miles for your radius. Imagine how big the radius has to be, over thousands of miles from the observer to the GP of the star, to the horizon. That's where this argument is going. That's why it's the #1 flat Earth proof. Sorry to steal your thunder there, 10th Man, but that's where this is going. It is never been a better time to be a flat earther.
what I really want to get to. This is done by this. I forget about the curved line underneath because they want you to think it can happen on a curved surface. That yellow arrow is not curved in reality because you can't have this box with two right angles if that bottom line was curved. So this slide is a mess already. But let's use it because it does show what I want to show here. And what is that? That it's a 90-degree, so right angle, and it's a 60-degree shot with the sextant. So you minus 60 from 90, and since 1 degree is 60 nautical miles on the Earth's surface, your co-altitude is 30 degrees. 30 degrees times 60 is 1,800 nautical miles. Do you see how the zenith position is over the observer as a right angle? So if you were where the sun was, it'd be the reverse. But in order to get your co-altitude, you have to have a right angle of where the sun is first. And then the two zeniths are important because the co-altitude used here by establishing your zenith, because you're somewhere on the Earth, And that has to be straight, or else you can't have this slide. This slide destroys the globe, and yet they think they could trick us by making the bottom line curved.
There's that box again. That red line, the GP from a celestial object to the surface of the Earth. The blue line, the GP from a celestial object to the surface of the Earth. They are both parallel. That red and blue line, they are parallel. They form a 90-degree angle at the bottom and at the top. You're forming a box here. You're absolutely measuring a flat Earth and a flat celestial plane above your head and below you. That's the only way that the sextant works, an angle measuring device. We had the elevation angles presented by Quantum Eraser. You need a flat baseline. You've got these two GPs absolutely parallel to each other, two vertical lines. They're not reciprocating angles, no. Reciprocating zenith angles, no. They're parallel. Can only work on a flat surface. This is why this is the #1 flat Earth proof, and this is how a sextant proves flat Earth. No, you definitely, there is a comment in the chat, won't you need a height for triangulation? No, we definitely don't need a height. What are the celestial bodies? They're only apparent. That's all we can get. Apparent angles, apparent positions, apparent sizes. We don't need heights. And that's what the globers try to trap us into thinking. Because they think they have a physical sun, because they think they can derive a value, a distance to the sun, a size of the sun, albeit begging the question, who knows how they derived the distance and size of the sun? Let me just take you through it. This is why they need it to be physical. That's why they try and make us say that there's a physical distance, a physical height, a physical size to the sun, because they have it. And it is absolutely debunked by just this alone. This is how they got the distance and size of the sun. They first begged the question that we're living on a globe. Radius 3959 miles. That is the first assumption that they had to make. And then they look at this, a light in the sky called Venus, and they say that light in the sky, that is exactly the same size as our Earth here. It's a globe. It's got a radius of 3959 miles just by looking at that light in the sky. 2, assuming, begging the questions there. Yeah, and it gets better. So when they saw the transit of Venus across the sun, now assuming the size of Venus is exactly the same size as of the Earth, and assuming they're both spherical objects with radiuses, they timed how long it, using Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion, when watching the transit of Venus across the sun, they extrapolated how big the sun must be for Venus of that size, the same size of Earth, to go across the sun. That's how they got the size of the sun. And then when you know the size of the sun, then, yeah, they use that to work backwards and get the distance of the sun to 93 million miles. That is the official story to the distance and size of the sun. From first presuming, from begging the question that they're on a globe, and that light in the sky of Venus is a globe, and that light in the sky of the sun is a globe with physical attributes. 3 things that have never ever been proven, never can be proven. So that's why they need to put it back on us, that we have a height to these celestial objects, because they're just projecting. They know they don't have a height. They know we don't claim a height, but they want us to claim a height. And triangulation works from that distance from the observer to the horizon, from the observer to the GP point, and the angle. That's all you need to know. The 90-degree angle, the angle from the sextant to the celestial object, and the distance between the GP and sextant. That's how the triangulation works. It's as simple as that. And that's how a sextant proves the flat Earth. I want to thank everyone for tuning in today. The numbers are down a little bit because, yeah, there's other streams going on. There's a bit of controversy at the moment. Head over to Jeranism if you want to check it out. I'm not going to comment on it, but this is what we should be commenting on, how a sextant proves flat Earth. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you for my super chats from John Furr and from Lumberjack. I am definitely going to get YouTube Premium right now so we never see an ad on this channel again. And John Furr, just give me $20 as a super sticker, like many other streams. I really appreciate the support. Tomorrow we're going to go through Globers debunking Globers. It is, at this point, we're just taking the piss. We don't need to debunk the globe. The Globers do it for themselves. If you feel like the Earth turns on you, turn to Flat Earth School. It is around us 24/7 since the beginning of existence. I've been Mitchell from Australia, and this has been How a Sextant Proves Flat Earth. Till tomorrow, guys. Thanks for being here. Get out into your beautiful Flat Earth school around you. It is definitely flat. Just see it for what it is.